We're going to go ahead and get started. I am Eric Green. I am the principal of Warren Central High School. I'm also one of the board members that got to take place in this process of honoring our former athletes in the school district. And it has been a pleasure to do this. So at this time, if you would, please bow your heads. Father God, we come to you right now. We thank you for those honorees that are present tonight, God, and their families that have traveled to partake in this honor with them, God. We thank you for what they mean in the community at large, Father, to the Vicksburg Warren School District community, God, and to Vicksburg and Warren Central High School, God. We thank you for the legacies that they leave, that they've left behind at our schools, Father, that they can be lights to our current students, God. At this time, we ask that you would take this food, make it nourishment for our body, God, and that it would be nourishment that we can go out and serve you. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you. I'm Brian Pratt. I am president of the Vicksburg Warren School Board, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening. There's some exciting times to be in the Vicksburg Warren School District with our new AD and all the great things that are going on here with all the new programs. I don't know, you can't pick up the paper and not see something. But there are also some exciting things that have happened in the past. That's why we're here today, is to recognize those great individuals that shined when they were a part of our district and are those shining stars and memories that we remember from the past, and we want to take the time to recognize those individuals this evening as we also build more of these as we move forward in the future. My mother told me one thing you do is make a speech short. My speech is short, never stand between people and food. So I hope that you enjoy the evening, and thank you for coming out.
We're now about to partake in dinner. We're going to let the head table go first, and everybody else will file in buffet style. Thank you.
On this committee, who's a non-athlete, what would I have to say? So I thought about the athletes in my life, and my mission became clear. We are here tonight to make history. This is the first, but certainly not the last, official induction of athletes from the Vicksburg and Warren County area. The committee consists of both former and present coaches, principals, and teachers from Vicksburg High and from Warren Central High School. Vicksburg Public Schools and Warren County Schools did not consolidate until 1987. So the committee decided to go back to 1970 as our beginning year of recognition. An athletic Hall of Fame is so very important because people in Warren County love sports. We are quite a competitive group. This small town has produced some outstanding men and women who have given of themselves to make us all shine. Tonight, we will induct 5 of our former athletes who have represented themselves, their families, their communities, and their schools in fine fashion. They all have continued to give of themselves in their everyday lives. The Athletic Hall of Fame is also important to our present-day athletes, like Mr. Lumpkin. They will be able to see the athletic talent that paved the way for them. They will know that your sacrifices contributed to the athletic facilities we now enjoy. Warren Central would not have such a nice football facility today if my classmate, Carl Blue, y'all see that, right? If Carl Blue had never ran over a whole lot of people running down that field. Our students will understand that the initiation of new sports, such as archery or swimming, is a direct correlation to your contribution to this small town. Ultimately, our young athletes will strive to become a part of this esteemed group. Inductees, we honor you. In closing, I would like to thank my dates for tonight. The almighty class of 1980. Mr. Nell, I had to do that. You know about that Warren Central thing, I had to do it. I also want to thank Mr. Preston Naylor from the Hall of Fame Committee. We see that starting this endeavor was quite an undertaking, but that's why we never had one. You see, Mr. Naylor, it took someone like you to take the ball and run with it. We all really appreciate your hard work. I also want to thank my principal, Mr. Eric Green, for allowing me the time to serve on this committee. Mr. Green, you've been really supportive to me ever since you've been here, and I really appreciate you. Thank you all for coming out tonight to show your love, your respect for our own Cynthia Hall, Tony Smith, Barry Howard, Carl Ballou, and Sean Brewer.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Smith. This is part of the time after I eat, I'm ready to lay down. But I know I can't at least for another 35, 40 minutes, so we're gonna get this show on the road. This is a grand stage. This is not a national event. This is not a state event. But to me, this is bigger than either one of those because we're representing people that's from our community, that's homegrown right here in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So many times we hear all the negative things that go on in Vicksburg associated with this river city, but not enough times do we recognize the good things that have come out of this place. I want to take some time to recognize individuals who have paved the way not only for myself but for other people to come through this community that have done great things and that represent all of us, whether it's in Mississippi, North Carolina, Louisiana, or even Tennessee. These are great men and women. We want to make sure that we recognize them to you guys, the community. And this never would have taken place without the support from our school board. We thank you guys for what you've done. We thank you for supporting us this way. Mr. Shealy and Mr. Campbell, thank you guys as well. The Hall of Fame Committee, as Ms. Smith said, these are individuals that were past and present administrators, teachers, and coaches of this district. Roka for offering this spot to us and the fine food, the Vicksburg Evening Post, and our sponsor for the night, C-Spire. Thank you. But most importantly, we want to thank you guys that came out tonight. We know that there are a million other things that you could have been doing. We know that Jackson State's playing tonight. We know that college football starts tonight. We have games going on around the district tonight. My phone's been blowing up because people have been calling me. But this is the most important thing for me on this day. So thank you guys for coming. This is not about us at Vicksburg Warren School District. This is about these men and this young lady that's sitting up here in front of you today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them from what I know, and then I'm going to allow the stage to be presented to them. The first recipient is Miss Cynthia Hall. I've never seen, and I've watched a lot of basketball, I've never seen a lady play the game with such grace and enthusiasm that didn't mind taking on anybody, whether it was male or female, and pulling up and shooting a three. I just asked her a few minutes ago, does she still play the game? She said she plays with her nephews from time to time. And I asked if she still had that jump shot. She said, oh yeah. Cynthia when I remember her in high school, we actually went to high school together. She was on a dynamic team, but Cynthia was a quiet leader. She didn't say a whole lot, but her game was loud enough. I want to introduce to you our first inductee tonight, Miss Cynthia Hall.
First, I would like to give thanks to God, and I would thank Him for allowing my mom to be here with me tonight. I would like to thank the community members that nominated me and the selection committee for deeming me worthy to be an inductee. It's an honor to be a part of the very first class and to go in with these great group of athletes. I would like to thank my family for always showing support for me, whether it was at academics or sports. My mom for being my #1 fan. I can remember during games I could hear, "Shoot it, Hall. All right, Hall. Come on, Hall." And I knew it was her. I knew it was her. My family had their favorite spot they would like to sit in the stands. So every time I would go to that area, I knew I was going to hear my mom's voice and the rest of my families too. And the rest, as a child, my mom would play one-on-one with me, and I would always win. And when I got older, I realized how great of a player she was. And I asked her, "Mom, you used to let me win?" And she would just smile and begin to laugh. Her nickname for me has been Star, but now she is my star. My Aunt Barbara Ann for always being there for encouragement. When I was having a bad game, I would always look in the stands, and she would be there nodding her head and clapping her hand, and like hands like, "All right, keep your head up." My Uncle Odell for being like a father in my life. My Aunt Shirley for always being there when I needed help for the many rides to and from practices and games. My sister Denise, one of my biggest cheerleaders, and for always having my back and being there when I needed her. My brother Dwayne for letting me sharpen my skills up on him. He always tell the kids that he used to beat me playing basketball, but I think they know the truth now. My sister Stephanie for making my senior year track one to remember. She was a freshman at the time. They would refer to us as the Hall sisters in the paper. She ran third leg in the relays and would pass it off to me. And the other relay members were Dee Robinson and Shannon Lewis. We won district, regionals, and North State that year. My brother Avery was like my personal sports reporter. He would always keep up with the stats, players, and teams throughout high school and college. My dad, who always was working, but he was able to make it to 2 of my most important games. I would also like to thank the 1997 state run-up team for being one of the best teams I ever played on. Although we came up short, we fought hard. I would like to thank Coach Doc Stevens for believing in me as a freshman and for teaching me the skills I needed to play at the next level. I would like to thank Coach Sharon Fanning for not teaching me about the game of basketball, but teaching me life lessons and skills that I incorporate in my daily life till today. In closing, I would like to thank the committee again for selecting me, and all my family and friends that came out to support me tonight. Thank you.
This next inductee, I guess I've been knowing for a long time, really, but not really. My Aunt Ruby used to talk about this young man all the time, and I was wondering who is Tony Smith. And I remember when Tony was playing with the Atlanta Falcons, and my aunt would always say, "We got to go out there to go watch Tony play." Tony played football at Warren Central High School, and even to this day, his picture is one of the biggest pictures inside of the locker room. Not because of just what he did at Warren Central, but what he did when he left Warren Central High School. You have players still talking about Tony and his accomplishments. Going to USM and then being drafted, Tony has continued to do great things in his community where he's at in North Carolina right now. We want to thank him for his accomplishments, and we want to give him a hand for being our second inductee tonight, Mr. Tony Smith.
Good evening. Wow, I'd say this is it's a pretty humbling experience. When I first got the call in reference to the inductees and who was involved in the Hall of Fame, I was completely thrown back a little bit because I didn't see it coming. And to be a part and be selected to something like this is probably one of the most gratifying things out of all of the accomplishments I've accomplished. And I tell you, to have all my friends and family here support me as they always have from day one is a beautiful thing. I see a lot of people I haven't seen in years, even my coach, Coach Morgan, from high school, which was a big, big influence on me. And I just told him a little while ago, I've been looking for him. I've been around town lately. I thought I would run into him somewhere, but he's here tonight, and it's fantastic. Seeing Mr. Scott Allen, I mean, oh man, I just see a lot of people that really been very influential in my life. Of course, my mom and family and friends that's always been around. It's been a fantastic, fantastic journey. And being motivated by people like, Sean Brewer, Carl Blue, and all these different athletes up here as well. And Carl wouldn't know, I got a story to tell. Carl and I are really kind of like family, really. His sister is my aunt through marriage. And I can recall being motivated by all his greatness coming up, being, I guess maybe in junior high, maybe even in 6th grade. I can recall Carl Blue, I don't know if you even remember this, actually giving me a haircut just about every week. I would come by, and this is when he was, superstar. Everybody knew Carl Blue, and I was motivated by, he was always chiseled and built and great shape, and I can recall just coming over and he was eating I think he had 3 salami sandwiches or something like that. And he just got home, just got off the bus, and I was already there when he got there because even if he did cut my hair, I just wanted to be around Carl Blue. I was motivated. And having people like that in your life, and it's just amazing how God just kind of put people in your life that actually does things for you that you may not realize then, but at some point in your life you start to realize, you know what, I know why that happened at that time. It all happened for a reason. And that's one of the most motivating things right there as well for me, and I know he probably never even knew it. I hope he remember. I know he's got to remember that. Yeah, rarely do you see people eating cut hair at the same time, but he did it. He did it. He definitely did it. But I want to thank Vicksburg Warren School District for inducting me and allowing me to be a part of this first class. And I look forward to seeing the guys that come up in the future, and hopefully they set an example like we tried to do and like we've actually done, fortunately, by the grace of God. And we appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Our third inductee is a graduate of Vicksburg High School, and where he went on to Ole Miss to play tennis. He held 3 state championships in tennis. One thing that we don't recognize a lot of are what we consider our smaller sports, but what Barry accomplished in high school and what he accomplished when he went on to Ole Miss is great. He's a good representative of what we stand for here in Vicksburg, and that's hard work and determination. After playing tennis, I was reading an article about Barry. He's now an attorney, but I guess you've left tennis alone and you picked up golf. I don't know a lot of people that can do that, and from what I read, he's pretty good at it. I'm still working on mine, by the way. But I want to bring up to you right now, Mr. Barry Haskell.
Y'all. Well, first of all, I've obviously trained my son well because he goes and takes pictures of me everywhere I go, so that's good. So at least we'll have a memory or two. First of all, I'd like to say I'm extremely humbled to stand before you tonight. Thank you to the committee for this award. Vicksburg and Warren County means a lot to me. It's where I grew up. It's where I spent all my time. I can remember spending just hours and hours at Glenwood Circle, downtown Vicksburg, everywhere in town. When I saw the people that were being inducted, I was kind of wondering why I was on the list. But I'm here nonetheless, so somebody thought I was worthy of it. So, and I'm not giving it back. So I would like to thank my parents who are here, my wife, my 2 children. Tennis is a sport where you got to travel a lot. And we took many, many trips all over the country in a minivan. Long way. Boston, Massachusetts is a long drive, a long drive. But my parents were always there. They always drove me everywhere. They didn't miss a match. My younger sister and younger brother, who were both also athletes, my sister played on one of Cynthia's basketball teams. They always put up with it, and I really appreciate that. In looking back at my time at Vicksburg High, I played tennis, but I also played basketball, and I played for Delly Robinson. And I probably learned more from Delly Robinson than anybody else at Vicksburg High School. And what I learned from him is he taught boys to be men. He taught us from a very, when you started, if you weren't playing defense, you weren't playing. And that was the end of that. So I didn't play that much. I was a little slow. But I learned a lot from him because he really did teach people, and he still does to this day. He tries to make boys into men. Cynthia mentioned Doc Stevens earlier, and he was also an influence academically and athletically. One of those people that he had more confidence in you than you did in yourself. And that was always just a wonderful thing. When I look at the people up here, it reminds me of a quote. And the quote says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, it's a habit." And when I look at everybody up here, what I see is excellence. But what I see is that people that have worked hard to get where they were. You know, Tony can run for a touchdown. Carl can run for a touchdown. Sean can, sack a few quarterbacks. Cynthia can hit a 3. And we all see that, and that's an act. What you don't see are the grueling hours, the training room, the pain, the shots missed, the losses. You don't see that, but you come through on the other side. And all of these athletes have done that and gone on to have very successful careers. And I'm just extremely humbled to be here, and thank you very much.
This next recipient, when I called him on the phone, made me feel good about what myself and the committee put into play. I called all 5 of these individuals, but this one person made it real for me when I called him. That was Mr. Carl Blue. Mr. Blue told me that he was just so excited and ecstatic about being nominated for an award like this because he thought that he had been forgotten. As what Barry just said, excellence cannot ever be forgotten. And we want to thank him for his accomplishments. I spoke with one of his teammates from Jackson State a couple days ago. Larry, he was a running back too, Mr. Blue. He told me that you were great. I was born in 1981, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I had to read some of this stuff, so this is new for me. But with Mr. Blue, just learning some great things that he's done, and then today, out of nowhere, I was not supposed to be selling tickets. I was gonna close the office down to come help decorate, and one of his teachers had walked in and she wanted to buy a ticket. This is his 5th grade teacher. That means a lot. I'm an educator as well. I've taught for 13 years, but when a teacher, 5th grade teacher, can come back after all these years and want to share something like this with you, it means a great deal. And it also tells about the type of person that Mr. Blue is. We want to thank him for his accomplishments at Vicksburg 1 School District, as well as his career after. Y'all give it up for Mr. Blue.
You know, sometimes you can have a smile on your face, but empty on the inside. And but somehow I didn't want to. I knew where I needed to be. But I like to back up for 1 second. I'll get right back to that. I like to thank those committee for nominating me, and it really blessed my heart when the guy called me on the phone. And after that, I was trying not to cry. I told my brother I wouldn't cry. You know, I wouldn't cry. But I thank the committee for considering me. Just considering me. It would give me the greatest honor to be inducted with the group of guys that I've been inducted with. And getting back to what I was saying, when there's a smile on your face and on the inside, things wasn't what they needed to be. And I had to get back to that, and I used my mom and dad as a motivator. It's good, but I wasn't raised that way. My mom told me, God first, then what's come. Always keep God first. But somehow God got put on the back burner. I put God on the back burner and made Mom, I blame God. So God me so much. Why did you take the two people I love the most? I couldn't understand that. I really couldn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't understand it, but now I get it. I had to take the scenic route, but I get it. But football was great. Coach Morgan, yeah, he blessed my heart, yeah. He's always encouraging. Mr. Franklin, all the teachers. You know, there was so many people behind me, and I thank God for that. Most of the time, we don't realize what we have until it's gone. Until you done look back, man, it's all over. Now you got to face life. All I can do is encourage people now. God put it on my heart to encourage people. People need to be encouraged. Young teenagers, they need to know the thing. We have a testimony. You know what I'm saying? We don't want them to go through the same mistakes that we did. You know what I'm saying? I thank my uncle for making me tough. he toughened me up. He wouldn't let me cry. He said, boy, dry your face up. Yeah, dry your face up, boy. Get up off that ground. Yeah. But I thank God for my wife. All I can say is heaven sent. Heaven, God knew exactly. It's like I married my mom. You know what I'm saying? Because her and my mom was so much alike, loving. Always there. You know what I'm saying? She didn't love me because of the yards I got, the touchdowns I scored. She loved me because of my walk with the Lord. Being sincere with the Lord. And it took a while for me to get there. But once I got there and I surrendered myself, like I need to get back to where I know I'm supposed to be. Had many opportunities before then. No, I ain't ready. So I took the scenic route. But at some point, you have to hit bottom. My bottom may not be your bottom. You know what I'm saying? When I hear other people's bottom, I say, man, they went through all that. My bottom was nothing. But it devastated me. That's what it took for me to look up. Sometimes you have to hit the bottom in order to look up. You know what I'm saying? So when I finally got to the point and said, God, I need you. God, I need you to get back, come back in my life. All that weight, you just don't know. There was so many people, Grandma Wells, I love her to death. Different ones, you know, was encouraging me. I felt I let so many people down after college. I really felt I let so many people down. And I shook it off, tried to shake it off, but you can't shake it off. But God brought it, he made it plain to me. God said, I love you in spite of. And there's no joy. Football is great now. But the joy that I have right now inside, even though I'm legally blind, got a pacemaker and had a stroke, my knees cracking. Yeah. They let me know. Yeah, every time I get up, ow, 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 ow. You know what I'm saying? But God is still good.
Amen.
It motivates me when I have those days and I have my little pity party because I'm used to doing things myself. I like getting out there and do it. God, I don't know what you're trying to do, but God, you're still worthy. God, it takes things like that to humble you. Get you to the point where you're totally surrendering over to Him. But you're realizing that I can't do nothing without Him. But I can do all things. Oh, I can do all things through Him. So quitting, I learned that from football and also through the Word of God. So Coach Morgan, yeah, 4 quarters. 4 quarters. We going 100%, 4 quarters. And it was embedded in our mind, 4 quarters. Yeah, if it's closed in 4th quarter, we gonna win. You know what I'm saying? So I thank God for Coach Morgan, Coach Wright, Coach Sizemore, Coach Brewer, the different ones, Coach Johnson, and different ones, they don't realize I might have been a little bit hard-headed. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But they don't realize the encouragement that they done, the what's called that they instilled in me, the work ethics. It might seem like it ain't working. My dad, the best thing that would happen right now is to have my mom and dad sitting right there on that front seat right there. That would bless my heart more than anything. But I know they would be proud of me. Not just because of the yards, because my eyes has been opened. I'm legally blind, but I got 20/20. I'm legally blind, but I got 20/20. So why did it have to take that long? Car blew hard-headed. Why did it take that long? Why couldn't I see it sooner? I said, God, I wish I had seen it sooner. I said, I know how hard-headed you was. It took for you to hit that bottom to get you to come back to me. So I wouldn't change that right now for nothing. So all those who had a hand in this, thank God for you. That's all I have to say.
Somebody told me today, they said, man, you got 3 people from Warren Central and 2 from Vicksburg. I said, well, not quite, because I got one that is a hybrid. He played football at Warren Central High School and taught me health at Vicksburg High School. I was on the phone with one of my classmates today, and I guess he was joking and saying, he said, Coach Brewer would have stayed 1 more year, I probably would have been in Michigan playing football. I was thinking to myself, yeah, right. But Coach Brewer, as a teacher and as a coach at Vicksburg High School, was very motivating for me. And then about 8 years ago, he was, well, not about 5, 6 years ago, he was my assistant principal at Ridgeland High School where I coached the boys soccer team. And now he's the principal at Rosa Scott High School? Council. Rosa Scott High School in Madison, Mississippi. I want to bring to you our other inductee, Mr. Sean Brewer.
Good evening, everyone. I looked at the program and saw it was last. I thought that was good because I've got about 3 hours prepared. Y'all ready? No, I mean, how hard is that to fall apart? Let me say thank you to a few people. And first off, I've had a really, really amazing 18 months. I've been all around the country, and it's been amazing and blessing. I'm blessed, and I'm still not sure that I deserve any of that. But it's really good to be back home. This is home. This is where I grew up. the people in this room are idols and leaders and mentors of mine, and it's amazing to be back here. First, my family's here. Hey, Margaret, Abby, and Macy, and my mom is here who watched. No, she didn't. She didn't watch a single play I ever played. She was always there, but she looked down and covered her face every single play I played. But thank you, Mom. I see my first principal here who hired me, Mr. Tolliver. So good to see you. Such a great leader he was, a great man to work under. And I see, obviously, Coach Morgan's here. And I don't know if Tony will remember this, but we had a lot of talk of biblical proportions tonight. And we were always convinced that Coach Morgan had biblical powers. Because we would pray for rain. On these 98-degree afternoons, when Viking Field was covered by trees, there wasn't any wind, the Bermuda was out there just waiting on us, the steam was rising, and a big storm would be rolling in, and Coach Moore would walk out, and all was clear. And off the practice we went. I'll say, as a molder of young men, Coach Morgan, thank you so much. Have done so much for so many men in this community, has left here and done so many things. It's truly amazing. I've tried to go on and be an educator, but so much about Coach Morgan is not only did he do so much in the weight room, on the practice field, at the field house, but he was a supporter of academics. He was a supporter of us going to class, doing what we're supposed to do. And he taught Mississippi Studies, World Geography, for a long, long time to a lot of students. And that was really good. We've got another teammate here, Michael Winters, and good to see him here. Real quick about everybody here on the stage. Miss Hall, Cynthia Hall right here, I was blessed to be able to watch her in person, and she was absolutely lights out tough. I'm talking about getting after it, and I was on the sideline working at Vicksburg High School, and she was awesome. I think she could have played with you, Barry. She could have played with us. Really, really good. It was a pleasure watching you play. Very amazing watching him run back and forth, the three-point line, and I think in the time I watched him, I never saw him take a two-point shot. It was always 3 points. A little known fact, I did get the pleasure of coaching who maybe the most athletic in the family, his little sister Beth, to a state championship in tennis. My year at Vicksburg High School. I know I look like a tennis guy here, I am. But that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Playing with Tony, I'll come back to Tony. As a kid growing up, and Tony, you said you were in 6th grade, so I had to be in 4th. I know it doesn't look like it now, but thinking of Carl Blue, watching him from the sidelines, the legend that was him, my older sister, older brother, my family, my mother watching him play was a truly thing of a legend. And he helped set the tone with those guys for so many of us that wanted to keep playing, that wanted to try to get on that field and reach that level of excellence. Carl, thank you for that. It was amazing. I remember seeing Carl come down the track running 100-yard sprints, and he was a great athlete. Now, I got the real pleasure of playing beside Tony Smith, and if I wasn't careful, I was watching him play instead of playing. He was that electric. Tony's the best athlete I think I've ever played with and was ever around. Did some remarkable things that come to mind, plays he made in high school, plays I watched him make in college and in the pros, and he was always a lot of fun to be around as well. And what an amazing group of people at this table, and I'm honored to be here. I know we heard a lot of preaching tonight, and I don't know why the Lord had on my heart to finish up, because that was my plan to finish tonight. I just want to say that I've got the mic, so you got to listen. All of this is really cool, and it's amazing, but I want you to know all this is going to pass. Young and old, here, listen. I've been forgiven by a Savior, and it's amazing. And if you haven't, you're not sure, or you're walking the walk or playing the game, you're not sure of your eternity, I just want to challenge you to go read your Bible tonight and seek that. So make it real. It's been a blessing in my life. And being from home, I haven't always been perfect, but I do have a Savior that has the power. So thank you guys so much for coming tonight. It's really an honor to be up here. Thank you.
back home to receive these awards. I do want to thank my mom and my aunt back there, my Ruby, for supporting me, making sure that I stay on the right path too. And then my assistant, Ms. Bowles, for decorating, making the phone calls and pushing me to make sure we get this stuff done on time. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent, Mr. Chad Shooter.
Definitely be the least interesting of our speakers tonight. And I can tell you one thing from a guy that used to not be a Vicksburger, there's nothing I take more pride in being a part of this community. Because I'm going to tell you, you got something that everybody else needs to be jealous of. You've got a community. And what I mean by that, you got something that is so deep and rich. And when you look back on a history as good as, I'm not talking about the park over there, that's nice too, because like money comes from outside. But this community is so ingrained, and it's something so special. And I think we oftentimes forget to just celebrate those things. We're here because of sports, but you know good and well after listening to everybody, we're here because of people. And we love sports. I love sports so much, when y'all thought I was looking at my phone with business, I was watching my little man who's in football pads right now over there beating the dog out of Terry. And I have the opportunity to serve in this position, and I want everyone in this room to know that I think sports are great for multiple reasons. Not because I love to win, and I do. I don't like to lose a coin flip. I like to win at everything. Competitive it is in my nature. Folks who work with me know it. But it teaches people about life. It teaches people about character. It teaches people about perseverance. It teaches people that just because I got knocked down doesn't mean that keeps me from making the next play. I can find a way to make a solution and make a plan, and if that plan doesn't work, guess what? I come up with another plan. It teaches about partnership and brotherhood and sisterhood and togetherness and oneness and unity. And when I got here, and I remember saying this to Coach when they were interviewing me, there's lots of stuff I remember about the interviews, but one of the things that he looked at me and said, if we hire you, what are you going to bring to this district? And I said, Coach, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to bring a sense of unity you've never seen. Because this is a remarkable place. And I'm going to tell you, I had no idea what God was going to do. David got, and I'm off script too, since y'all preaching, I'm going to tell you. David had the opportunity to meet with some folks this morning about amazing things that are occurring. Not by my will, not by his will, not by this wonderful board that I serve with, but by the hand of God. And I'm telling you, just like Michael Winters told me, when I stood up in front of y'all for the first time as a guy that didn't live here, and I told everybody that I wanted to come here. He said, I can tell you right now, he said, I saw the Holy Spirit. And he told me, you were the guy. He said, you were the guy. You were like water that was poured out on dry ground. And it wasn't about me, but he saw the Spirit. And I'm going to tell you something. He's got his hand on this community, and it's something special. And I'm going to tell you one more story, and I'm going to be done because you didn't come in here to me. When I was a daddy, first daddy, I got 3 boys now. When I was the first daddy, I got a little red-headed boy about this tall. He's about this tall now, but we were watching football. I was watching football, and my wife was in there cutting some French fries. And she had it on the counter, and Grayson walked by, and he said, Mama, can I help? She said, sure, baby. He went over there, and he got his little stool, and he pulled it up by the counter, and he reached up there, and he put his hand on his mama's, and they started cutting the fries together. And like his daddy, he got a little distracted. It happens easily for me. He took his hand off, and I watched something special. She looked at him and said, Grayson, I can't do this without you. He looked at her and said, I'm sorry, Mama, and put his hand right back up on there. I want you to know that's what God's doing in this community. To be a part of that and to get to experience the work that he's doing has been one of the most remarkable things in my life. And I tell you right now, I played a lot of sports and I was on a lot of teams, and most of them didn't want me on their team. So this would never be something that we get to do. But I can tell you for a fact, I didn't get to see you play. But I feel a kinship with what just happened today because I'm a Vicksburger too, and I'm so very proud of each and every one of you. And I thank y'all for coming out because honestly, it is about the legacy that we leave. And there's nothing more fine than being able to tread things for the first time. And I want to thank Preston Naylor because when he had a vision when he was hired, he said, this is something we need to do. We need to see this because we got so much good in Vicksburg. We have to do this. And I said, heck yeah, and then I got out of his way. And everybody served on that committee that made this happen. This is a remarkable time. And it must be pretty incredible to be the first. Not be last. But I thank all of you for coming tonight and honoring them. and I saw that, and I thank y'all so much, and it was great to listen to you, and I hope you had a good night, and I'm assuming Preston's going to officially dismiss you, or is that what I need to do? Oh, I'm going to tell you about the game tomorrow. If you don't know, we got a little football game that's going to be tomorrow night, and we are so excited. The field is playable. So we will host that at Vicksburg High School. Nothing greater than being a Gator. And I will tell you this, it's going to be a heck of a game because we got two incredible football teams. So if you haven't bought your tickets yet, go get them. You'll see me. I will have my shirt that's got a Vicksburg Gator on this side, a Warren Central Viking symbol on this side, and I'm going to be sitting in the end zone to make sure I can root for all my team. And love being able to serve with you in this community, and I count it a privilege to be your superintendent. Thank y'all so much for coming.